we are going to be imposing a 25% increase. We're going to bring it from 25% to 50%, the tariffs on steel into the United States of America, which will even further secure the steel industry in the United States. Nobody's going to get around that.
Nobody's going to get around that. I thought we had an elbows up prime minister that's going to stick up for us. Instead, we have this after he went down and kissed the ring. Ladies and gents, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Clyde. Welcome to the channel. Hit that subscribe button. It's just down below there. Let's get into this story. Donald Trump, late on Friday, made an announcement on Truth Social. He says, "It is my great honor to raise the tariffs on steel and aluminum from 25 to 50% effective Wednesday, June 4th. Our steel and aluminum industries are coming back like never before. This will be yet another big jolt of great news to our wonderful steel and aluminum workers. Make America great again." Now, that's going to be very harmful for a lot of steel and aluminum workers in Canada. Of course, that's absolutely where we're going with this. So, well, many news agencies are reporting on this one. Of course, Global News jumping in there saying Trump's new steel tariffs will cause mass disruption, Canadian industry warns. And this isn't just coming from the Canadian side. We are seeing this from the American side. Here's BNN Bloomberg talking about this morning, saying, here are 5 things you need to know this morning. Of course, some of those other ones not to do with us, but the markets react to the steel tariff, Trump's new steel tariffs. Markets are reacting today to the declaration late Friday by U.S. President Donald Trump that he intends to hike tariffs on imported steel and aluminum from 25% to 50%. Shares of U.S.-based metals companies are surging in the pre-market. Canada is the largest supplier of both steel and aluminum to the United States, according to nearly 25% of the steel imports and more than 50% of aluminum imports. The Canadian Steel Producers Association says the move could create mass disruption and negative consequences across the highly integrated steel supply chains and customers on both sides of the border. The association is calling on the federal government to fully reinstate retaliatory steel tariffs and implement new tariffs to stop unfairly traded steel from entering Canada. Of course, other things that are being reported on here are the fact that this will just basically destroy the steel and aluminum industry in Canada.
The Canadian Steel Association says this is essentially it for that market.
It essentially means that the U.S. market closes overnight for us. That means, in simple terms, 50% of what we produce heads to the United States. So that market will just shut instantly.
So that market will just shut instantly. Wow, that's bad news. That's very bad news. Sault Ste. Marie is slamming Trump's 50% steel tariffs and calling it illegal. They're saying you can't do that. That's totally illegal. Officials in Sault Ste. Marie, which is where Algoma Steel is, a huge supplier of steel to the North American market. They said President Donald Trump's decision to double steel tariffs to 50% is harmful to both Canadian and American workers. The new tariffs are set to take effect on June 4th, drew sharp criticism from local leaders who warn of the economic fallout. Local leaders like the MP from the riding, that is Terry Sheehan. You can see him here introducing Mark Carney in the last election. Hey, how did that work out for you? How are those elbows doing? Are those elbows coming up far enough for you? Or did we go down and kiss the ring? That's literally where we're at with that one, unfortunately. And I know it's kind of a dark sense of humor on that one. This is very bad for Canadian steelworkers, but at the same time, understandable, because this is what Donald Trump was elected to do, was to bring manufacturing back to the United States. And what does that mean? It doesn't just mean from overseas, it also means from Canada. A lot of the manufacturing that America can be making their own steel. And this is the argument from Donald Trump is, why is Canada making our steel? We can make our own steel. We can make our own aluminum, as well as why is China doing all this stuff? Why is Bangladesh doing these things? Why don't we just bring it home? Which, of course, then turns into the argument, which we've heard when Donald Trump was speaking with Justin Trudeau when he was still the Prime Minister of Canada. And he said, well, what if I did this? Trudeau said to him, well, Canada would cease to be a country. And, of course, this is where the 51st state rhetoric came about. Now, this is crazy, but this is the thing. People don't get it. Canada produces 13 million tons of steel per year and shells out half of it to the USA. 90% of exports. And Canada produces 3.3 million tons of aluminum and sells 2.7 of it to the United States. Thank you, Table Salt, for putting this up there. Sometimes the price of losing is beyond what you can afford to pay. This applies to winning as well. Building a blast furnace is likely easier than finding long-term customers across an ocean, which meaning you could just build more blast furnaces down in the United States. Likely, we're going to see a lot of these industry leaders taking their capital and running with it. And we've been seeing this across the board. Everywhere, actually. I've been hearing rumblings behind the scenes of people in the wood industry and all kinds of different industries across Canada saying, you know what, I'm just going to pack up. I'm going to take my capital and I'm going to head south of the border because it would be so much easier to operate, not just because of the tariffs, but this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, as well as, I might add, so in Table Salt put this out on X saying, wait. So Canada's steel and aluminum companies are going to have to compete against Trump's now 50% tariffs. And let's not forget, Carney's industrial carbon tax. RIP Canadian steel. This is the reality. So it's not just the tariffs that are in the way for Canadian industry and people that are entrepreneurs are trying to get things made. What's happening is you have a double whammy of tariffs coming from America and American government saying, take your industry and move it to America. Move it to America and you won't have these problems. And then the double whammy is the Canadian government that's making it difficult to operate within our own borders here in Canada. So I'd love to leave this one with you. Do you know people in the steel industry? Do you know people who are going to probably lose their job in this whole situation? What's the plan? What's the plan for people in this one? Is there any inklings of steelworkers saying, you know what, maybe I'm gonna pack my things up and move south of the border as well? Let me know in the comments. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.